I'm a bartender, and I was working with the bar manager on a Friday night when he saw that we were running low on some bar essentials following the dinner rush. So I was assigned to a nearby 24-hour grocery store to pick up the flexible capacity we'd need to carry us through the weekend. I went to the store and to the alcohol aisle. There were two country-looking guys, presumably around my age, staring at me and whispering to each other in a way that made me feel uneasy, as I imagined they were making comments about me. So far, everything has been very harmless. Before they could approach me, I hurriedly collected what I needed and walked to the self-checkout machine. When I arrive at the self-checkout, the two guys are just behind me. They utilize the scanning station next to me as I scan my belongings. Now that they're right near me, I can get a better look at them. One is taller, more muscular, and has a more average appearance. The other is plumper and shorter. The taller one tries to communicate with me. "Hey, you seem like you're ready to have a good time, huh?" I said something along those lines. Yes, something along those lines, but it's not for me. They approach me, ignoring their obligation to examine their belongings. "Oh, it's for your lover, is it?" I give another awful tight-lipped smile and slightly roll my eyes. "This is your cue, fellas, that I'm not interested." "You could come hang with us tonight. We could show you a real nice time if you know what I mean." The shorter one continues to try to chat with me. I responded by saying, "No thank you, I'm fine, I've already made plans." As a result, he adopts a more threatening tone and approaches very near to me. I'm only a few inches away from him, but I don't notice him because I'm concentrating on the scanner. However, I do so in front of the self-scan worker, who is standing at her podium with wide eyes, attempting to indicate that I do not feel comfortable and may want assistance. The machine breaks down and begins to beep. The lady worker came over right away, and the guys pretended that I knew them and that we were friends so that the worker wouldn't be suspicious of their motives. The employee, on the other hand, was not convinced. She punches a few keys on the screen, giving the boys a disapproving look as they try to be charming, then cancels the order entirely. She adds to me as she turns to face me, "Ma'am, I apologize for the inconvenience. This equipment appears to be malfunctioning. Please gather your belongings and I will ring you up at the real register." She places her hand on my back and gives me the same wide-eyed look I gave her a minute ago, indicating that she recognizes that I am in danger. I gather my belongings and accompany her to the register close to the security office. The guys remain near the self-scan, still staring at me, and eventually finish their purchase, but then stand at the exit, presumably waiting for me. If I exited at that point, I felt like I'd be walking to my death. The worker searches my belongings while keeping a careful eye on the lads. She notices I'm in danger and immediately dials the security number. I remember thinking to myself, this woman deserves a raise. I kept thanking her and telling her everything they said to me, and I was getting scared because I had no idea what these guys were capable of. The worker and security guard took me out, and you can imagine how empty the parking lot was at that hour. A large old pickup truck sat in the back of the parking lot, its lights turned on and pointed towards the store. It was a large parking lot, and it wouldn't have made sense for them to park that way at first. So I'm guessing they moved the truck to that position so they could see me leaving the store and walking to my car. I felt like I was being pursued by a pack of hungry lions. They sped out of the parking lot when they noticed that I, the worker, and the guard were all looking squarely at them, and that I wasn't getting in my car until we watched them depart. Needless to say, I no longer do late night shopping alone. I'll never do that again.
I come from a Muslim family, but I live in the West and my parents are liberal in comparison to my extended family. They've given me a lot of freedom, but there were still a few rules that I knew I should never break. One of them was not getting pregnant before marriage. I never thought it would be the rule I broke because I was never really interested in dating. I had always wanted to wait until marriage, which was partly due to my upbringing and partly because the idea of having lots of casual sex just never appealed to me. This was until I met the man who would later become my husband. Looking back, I behaved totally out of character from the way I normally am. I still have no idea why I did what I did or what my thought process behind any of it was, but I very quickly threw out a lot of the values I held because I enjoyed the attention he was giving me. For 6 months, it was like I was completely intoxicated by him. Then I found out I was pregnant, and Reality came crashing down very quickly. I was terrified to tell my family or my husband. My friend suggested that I tell my husband first so I could come up with a game plan before I had to tell my family. I was a crying, ugly mess when I finally did tell my husband. His family is also Muslim, but they make even my parents look super conservative and traditional by comparison, so he didn't seem to understand why I was so upset or scared. When I finally calmed down enough to explain how strict my extended family was, he told me he would speak to my parents for me and he would tell them we were going to get married before anyone found out I was pregnant. I didn't think he was serious because we barely knew each other. He had been very clear that he was only in it for the fun and he was someone who didn't intend to ever commit to one woman. And it wasn't like his family would hate him for having a baby, but he kept insisting that this would be the perfect solution and he wanted to fix things. We've been married for 2 years and things have been going much better than I could have ever hoped for. Our families get along great. My parents really like my husband, which I never thought would happen because my dad wanted to kill him when we first found out. The only issue I have is that my husband likes everything his way, and the fact that he has never been in a relationship where he has had to compromise because they usually did whatever it took to keep him happy and interested has given him a false sense of always being right. Whenever we have a disagreement, he loves to say that being married was his compromise and that he protected my reputation, so the least I could do is give him this one thing. It's never just the one thing though. In our entire marriage, he has only backed down 3 times, and 2 of those times was when I was pregnant and only because my sister gave him trouble for stressing out the pregnant lady. Disagreements aren't the only time he brings up the fact that he saved my reputation. I'm starting to suspect he's getting off on the knowledge that despite having other offers, I had never behaved the way I did with him with anyone else. I lost count of the number of times he brought this up. I feel like I need to figure out a way to stick up for myself and not back down when he tries to use it to get his way, and ideally a way to get him to stop bringing it up altogether. If anyone has any suggestions on how to achieve either of these, I would really appreciate it. I just found out that my best friend who is 21 has been sleeping with my dad who is 45 for years, and now my mom and siblings hate me because they think I destroyed our family. It all started when I discovered that my dad had a lot of sketches of my best friend naked. He also had a lot of photos of her. I confronted him and he just told me that he was in love with her but that nothing had ever happened between them. I talked to my friend and she swore to me that she only loved him as a father and that she would never think of him as a man to flirt with, and I believed her because I thought she was in a relationship. I mean, she used to have a boyfriend and then he moved to another country to study, so they had a long-distance relationship, but apparently they broke up a few months after he moved. But she made me believe that they were still together and that they were going to get married when he came back. But I found out that it was all a lie. I went to her apartment and saw that my dad's wallet was on one of the shelves, and I asked her what his wallet was doing there, and she told me that he went there to talk about me. I believed her again, but then I asked her if I could stay in her apartment for the night and she said no. She was extremely nervous telling me no, so when I went home, I sent an Instagram message to her supposed boyfriend and he told me that they broke up years ago and I should know why. He told me he broke up with her because she told him that she slept with my dad and she was no longer a virgin. I was in complete shock. I went to her apartment the next day without telling her and my dad was already there. I told her everything her ex told me and she didn't say a word. She just sat there crying like an idiot, and my dad told me he was sorry but that it just happened and that their marriage broke up when my mom got pregnant with my youngest brother on purpose so that he wouldn't break up with her. But honestly, nothing of anything they've told me matters to me. I feel like a fool. They have been sleeping together for more than 3 years and I was helping them without knowing. She was like a member of the family, and every time she went to my house, I used to tell my dad to drive her to her apartment so that she could arrive safely. And when he took longer than he should, he said that there was a lot of traffic or things like that. And now that I know what they have been doing has made me sick. I feel like everything is my fault. And my whole family thinks it is. My mom doesn't talk to me because she thinks all of this happened because I became friends with her and I should have realized what was happening. She blames me and I don't feel comfortable at home anymore, and my siblings who are 10 and 8 also hate me because they think I made this mess. And no matter what I say, they think it's all my fault. What should I do, or what should I say? I'm lost. I don't know what else to say for them to forgive me.